Namaste. Namaste. In this video, I'm going to take you through understanding our 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga or Raj Yoga as Patanjali describes them in a step-by-step manner. These are the limbs, or these are the evolutionary practices that we go through as we evolve in our life. So the Ashtanga Yoga, Ashta is 8 and Anga is the limbs. So these are the 8 limbs of yoga to help us to complete our journey. It's a really beautiful layout on how to live, how to follow your journey on this evolutionary path to attain your health, your well-being, and to get to the point of self-realization, or the higher, the divine, the cosmic experiences. This journey of 8 limbs, Ashtanga Yoga, begins with Yamas. So the Yama is the restraint, the control, the discipline. Now sort of think of ourselves as a human being or as an animal if we are not being cultured or sort of trained in a systematic way. And it's quite surprising, especially now when you look around, how many people actually behaving like animals, losing their control, losing their sense of that inner awareness, the responsibility, their role into the society, and going sort of violent, aggressive, and everything they can do to really express that aggression. So the first step of Ashtanga Yoga, the Yamas, is to give us the tools on how do we hold ourselves back, step back, and how to behave, how to live, how to fulfill our basic life needs or biological needs. So if you are hungry, or if you need a shelter, if you need to fulfill your needs of procreation, like if you look at animals, they will fight for the food, they will fight for the shelter, they will fight for the companionship. So similarly, as human being, we might have the same experience or the same situation, but that brings pain, that brings suffering. So Patanjali said, let's begin our journey by finding peace and learning how do we fulfill our basic biological needs. So he describes 5 of those yamas, 5 of those restraints, or the moral virtues for our day-to-day life fulfillment. Ahimsa, non-violence. Can I fulfill all my needs and my happiness, my joyfulness, without causing harm to somebody? Because it's very easy to sort of think, in yoga we talk about, I want to be happy, I want to be rich, I want to be wealthy. So that means I can do anything I want. But actually that does not really bring abundance, that doesn't really bring happiness. So Patanjali said, let's begin with bringing abundance, happiness, fulfillment, or joy in our life with the principle, with the practice of non-violence, following the love, following the kindness, non-harm attitude. Satya, truth, honesty, righteousness, doing the right things, following the honesty, not lying, not denying, or not manipulating our reality, our truth, our experiences, or even the life events we go through. If you can be honest, this is amazing. I find in my own experience, our life becomes simple. But when we start lying, when we start manipulating, it also becomes very difficult, because we have to remember everything. What did we say? What sort of events and the stories we create? So living a simple life with the honesty, with down to the earth attitude. Now in one of the scriptures it says the truth, the satya is speaking the truth, satyam briyat. Not speaking the lies, ne asatyam briyat, not speaking any lies or any dishonesty. And then ne briyat, not speaking the bitter truth. The more I think and more I listen, Amaji and Dr. Nanda, is more of really speaking. If you have to speak the bitter truth, speaking it pleasantly, so people can take it, people can understand it. We're not breaking people, we're not harming or hurting people. So our ahimsa satya, asteya, non-stealing, not taking anything for granted or not taking things not belonging to us. Now the stealing in a material form is very easy to understand, but stealing can also be seen in stealing our time, stealing our energy, stealing our thoughts, stealing somebody's teachings, or stealing somebody's credit. Sometimes stealing can also be not appreciating, not expressing our gratitude. So non-stealing. Then we move into brahmacharya, the fourth one. Brahma is the creator, acharya is the one who follows. So the one who follows the laws of the creation. In modern time, lots of people translate it as sexual restraint or chastity, which I find it very hard to digest, as in ancient time all these yogis, all these ashrams were run as a household. Most of the yogis or the rishis in our ancient time, they all were married, they had kids, they had husband and wife. So in that way, if they were taking part in all the life activities and procreation and everything, they would have never really meant brahmacharya the way it has been translated in sort of recent 100 or maybe couple of 100 years of our Sanatan, sort of modern history of Sanatan Yoga. So in a much more sort of way, if you look at the brahmacharya, the Brahma Acharya, so the following the law of our life, our creation, and then following the biorhythms. So in the night time, when it gets dark, your body likes to sleep. When its light comes out, your body likes to wake up and do things. There is a time to eat, there is a time to drink, there is a time to meet for friends, families, there is time for procreation, there is time for exercise, there is time for meditation. So actually fulfilling your biological needs, but in harmony with the biorhythms, with our energy, with our planet, and also a little bit of discipline on our sensual energy. Instead of just going mad like, oh, I see something, I want it, I like the look of it, I want it, I like the smell of it, I want it, I like that man, I like that woman. So having a little bit of that discipline to restrain or to bring ourselves back in and say, no, I need to have some control, some discipline on my energy, my life, my desires, and follow that sort of rhythmic pattern or the routine. Aparigraha. So that is non-greed or non-possessiveness. Not holding, clinging or possessing onto things that are not necessarily needed to be possessed or to be controlled by us. It's an attitude of letting go. It's an attitude of liberating ourselves, attitude of freeing ourselves from all that is not necessary. Especially nowadays, so many of us can be so indulged, like I want to buy this, I want to buy that. We spend sometimes too much money on things that at some point we realize I don't need it. So this is actually living our life as a minimalist, or just taking what is absolutely essential or necessary to live. Now also aparigraha concept in therapeutic sort of idea becomes quite important, as we can also possess on our health problems, our associations with various problems and issues. So freeing ourselves, liberating ourselves from that. So these are the 5 yamas. We move to the second limb, which is niyama. So the niyama translates as the rule or the observances that we need to follow. So first when we were restraining or refining ourselves on how to fulfill our life needs, now we are refining on how to live our life, how to do our best, how can we perform or live, act and respond in a much more efficient and proficient way to bring that sense of inner peace, health and well-being. So that begins with our socha, the purity, the cleanliness, maintaining the purity of your space you live in, purity of your body, purity of your clothes, the cleanliness of your mind, your thoughts, your life choices, your desires, the food you eat, air you breathe, the drinks you consume. So bring that purity, the clarity in all these aspects of your life. And as in one of the Upanishads says, to have the clarity of your thoughts, you must have the clarity or the purity or the cleanliness that need to be maintained in your body. You know, when our body is toxic, our mind is also toxic. And they have the vice versa too. If your mind is toxic, it's going to have the toxic effect on your hormonal and your biochemical secretions in your body. So we begin with the purity, the socha. Then we come to santosha, the sense of contentment. So we're not constantly driving outward, I want this, I want that, or competing ourselves with each and everyone that exists in our life. It's also actually doing your best and leaving the rest. So once you performed or done what you could have done, then be happy with yourself. Be contented within yourself. You can't do more than what you are capable of. Being contented with the fruits, with the outcomes of your action, your choices. It's sort of also a concept of kindness and compassion, either towards yourself or the people around in your life. Tapa. So the tapas translates as austerity or as a disciplined practice. So I really like the 3R concept of Amaji: regularity, repetition, and rhythm. So if you know something that works for you, something good for you, something you can follow for your health, your well-being, your spiritual evolution, or for success in life, then do it. And keep doing it over and over again and again, repeating it. And then bringing some sort of rhythm. See, as a human, we all like to be a little bit creative, a little bit imaginative. So things are not too dull, too boring. Having that little excitement, something you look forward to. So that is the concept of tapas. Doing your things, doing your best, bringing the regularity, the sincerity or dedication in your practice, in your approach. Sort of think of you following one straight path instead of just going randomly. Today, for 5 minutes, you walk to the north, next 5 minutes to the south, east, west. And we keep going round and round. We don't get to our destination. So if you want to get to your destination, go straight onto the path and follow your sadhana, follow your directions until you get to the end, to your goal. Swadhyaya. So once you've done your best, you also do introspection, knowing yourself. So Swadhyaya has actually a couple of beautiful elements. The one element is the study of scriptures. So again, think of whatever you do in life, you must learn how to do them. There must be better ways of doing it. So reading the manuals, reading the fine prints. Now here we're talking about the manual of our health, our well-being, practices and all these ideas. So scriptural study. Then we have the satsanga, listening to the like-minded people who can give you the ideas. Your guru, your teacher, your friends, your family, sometimes your own mind. And then the third one is your own introspection. So whatever you do, you reflect into that end of your practice. Or at the sometime in beginning, you're contemplating, you're thinking, you're doing your chintan, your manan, to find out what's the best possible way I can do it, or what's the best possible I can avoid something. And then once you've done it, you learn from that experience by being aware. So this concept of inner reflection and understanding our life principles. And then our fifth one is Iswara Pranidhana, surrendering to the divine. Or Swamiji explains it as Iswara Prasadanam, seeing our life as a divine blessing or as a divine opportunity or divine sort of blessing for us. There is and everything happening in our life, there is a divine blessing, there is a lesson. And if we can't see it, we just need to grow out of it to see the bigger picture, to see the bigger perspective of our life. I know in some of our religious traditions, it is said that our life, that we are born into this life because there is a curse, there is a punishment for our karma that we have done in our previous lives. But the yogic perspective actually says that you have been given this life, this opportunity to work out your karma. So this is actually a perfectly organized divine blessing for us to work through our karma and then to learn, to grow and evolve. So seeing that divine, seeing that higher beauty or the divine sort of concept or idea in our life, to grow, to evolve through that process. Ishwar Pranidhana. So these are the yamas or niyamas, foundation of our character, foundation of our health, our spiritual journey, our life, the peace. Then we move to our third limb in Ashtanga Yoga is Asana. Now Patanjali says something really beautiful. Sthiram Sukham Asanam. Steady and comfortable state of being is asana. This is what when we look at the definition of our health, definition of our swasthya, that state of being at ease within ourselves. Now in sort of as the practice we go into, the asana practice, Hatha Yoga practice, it does have very extended sort of practice. As in Hatha Yoga it explains, there are 84 million postures out there, the yonis or the life spaces that we can go through. So holding yourself into that highest state of being, true to your own potential or optimum to your existence, that is the state is known as asana. Now as we all know that asana has many beautiful ways to look at it, which will come as we go into our asana and Hatha Yoga practice. Through the asana we move into our fourth limb, which is Pranayama. So the Pranayama is the prana. So the prana is the subtlest, the cosmic, the catalytic or the universal, the divine life force that exists pre-anu, before the existence of anu, the atom. So this is the all-pervading, all-existing energy, the cosmic energy, the divine energy. And then ayama is the extension or the control, the refinement, enhancing. So we using the breath as a tool to enhance the vibration or the resonance of this vital energy, vital force that we inhaling from the universe with the in breath, and with the out breath we letting go of that I into the universe, into the cosmos. So there is a perfect union between the cosmic and the individual energy, the Atman, the Purusha and the Paramatman, the higher self. The action energy, the motor energy into the cosmic, into the potential energy. So through the pranayama, we access this pranic energy, this vital energy. And again, when we think of the yoga therapy, actually the pranayama becomes also quite an important aspect for healing our body, especially the therapeutic aspects for our mind and our psychosomatic health problems. It becomes really amazing or one of the most beautiful tools. From pranayama we move into the fifth limb, which is the transitory between the antaranga and the bahiranga. So the antaranga is the internal or the higher yoga practices. Bahiranga is the external or the more of the mundane practices, the lower practices. Pratyahara. So pratyahara, withdrawing from the food, the objects of our senses. So you withdrawing your mind away from all the sensory input. Having some control, some discipline, some sort of stepping away from it. What I see, I don't have to follow. What I hear, I don't have to buy it. I don't have to take it. So it's sort of think, constantly whatever we're seeing, we are constantly reacting or responding or getting involved in each and every sensory input through our mind or perception. So enhancing our ability to refine ourselves so we can separate our mind from that. So what we see, I don't have to follow it. What I hear, I don't have to bother myself in getting stressed or upset about it. So this is the discipline of your mind, to prepare your mind to focus on one place. Otherwise, you try to sit quiet and someone says, okay, close your eyes and breathe in and breathe out and watch your breath. And then all we do is just our mind is going into lunch, dinner, or our Facebook, our WhatsApp, or the birds, the flowers, all this stuff that's going on around. And on top of that, if we are struggling with any of the mental or emotional problems, then it actually becomes worse. It's sort of like the monkey, drunken monkey beaten by the scorpion on a hot tin roof. Just can't be still. So this pratyahara is withdrawing ourselves away from all that toxic sensory input, so we can be established, which leads us into our sixth limb, Dharna. So the Dharna is the concentration, our practice where we're trying to focus our mind on one single object. Now the single object of your focus, your Dharna, can be inside, internal, or it can be external. You might light a nice candle and gauge your mind on it, or you might go out in your garden and performing things that need to be done by you, or maybe your job, your karma that you do. You focus your mind fully in it. That becomes your Dharna, your concentration. Internal Dharna practices can be focusing your mind on your bindus, your chakras, or the energy flows. And when we achieve or attain success in our Dharna, so Dharna is actually your effort, your practice. And when it becomes fruitful, when your mind becomes focused or absorbed into that single object. So if you were focusing onto the flame of the candle, when you're trying to do it, you're constantly trying to bring your mind back to the candle, and then it goes again and back, and then goes away again, and you bring it back. So when you're trying to do it, it's a Dharna, concentration. And when that results into the fruit, it happens, it becomes the fruit. Your mind absorbs into your focus point. That becomes your meditation. Now, I really like the definition. One of the phrase Amaji says, sort of think of your Dharna, your concentration and meditation are sort of transiting between each other. And it is focusing more and more on less and less. So really having that clear vision, the clear focus, being single pointed, being on a straight path of your mind and your thoughts. Dhyana, meditation. And when that I, that person or that consciousness trying to focus, trying to meditate, we lose that I. We become absolutely one with our focus point, one with the reality, one with the consciousness, or one with the divine. That state, that the eighth limb is known as Samadhi, the union, the enlightenment, liberation, or self-realization, Atma Sakshatkar. So in this state, the self, the Purusha, becomes one with itself to begin. Drashta Swarupe Avasthanam. So the Drashta, the seer, the experience element of us, the conscious element of us, becomes one with our Atman, the Purusha, the pure essence itself. And then once you get there, then you surrender it, you transcend it into the divine, into the cosmic self. So the Purusha, the Atman, the self, becomes one with the Paramatman, the higher or the cosmic self. So these are the 8 beautiful limbs. And yeah, as we're moving upward into understanding the therapeutic tools and understanding the basics of what is yoga, and then the various parts of yoga, and then understanding the 8 limbs of yoga, gives us a little foundation of how yoga can help us on our evolutionary journey for our physical health, our mental health, our emotional health, our social health, our economic health, and our spiritual health. So we want to bring our optimum proficiency, and really these aspects of yoga can give us the tools or ideas to bring that optimum potential into the awakening, into empowering. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.